I would hate to be the Lions facing us this week. If I was the Lions, I would have been praying for Tampa Bay. Praying for Tampa Bay. Pop, what's going on, man?
Son, how you doing?
Doing good. Back at it again. Another day, another podcast. And guys, your second playoff pregame podcast, your first post-playoff victory podcast in Dom and Pop history. Incredible. Or post-playoff victory pregame podcast. Whatever. You get the point. We're in uncharted territory here. How you feeling, Pop?
Feeling great. How can you not be? I mean, get to pregame a divisional round playoff game with our team. Bring on the Lions. Wouldn't have it any other way. Let's see what we're made of against the number one seed in the NFL.
This is a fun one, man. This is purely just the opportunity to take a crack at somebody. I'm fired up for the game. I want to win. I think we got a chance. But yeah, you gotta go into this with a little bit different of a mindset, maybe as a fan, than you go into other weeks for your own sanity, because it's going to be an uphill battle. We got to throw our stone, as Ron Rivera would say. You gotta take down the giant. This is a real David and Goliath situation. We'll break down all the differences, everything that goes into it. I think there's a couple things that definitely give us an advantage or give us a shot here. But overall, you guys know what it is. It's our Lions pregame. Don't forget, stay tuned. We got our Bada Bets coming. Second half of the episode, we're going to pick every divisional playoff game. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get right into it, man. The Commanders, 6 seed. Lions 1 seed, Saturday, 8 p.m. It'll be a heck of a football game, hopefully. Hoping for a good one. Obviously, the early line is Lions 9.5-point favorites. But where are your vibes at going into this game, Pop? What's the feeling?
Yeah, I mean, they're really good. I just want to quickly remind everybody we will be picking all of divisional playoff games later in the pod. We'll go over every divisional playoff game, not just this one. We'll pick all of them, so stay tuned for that. If you
did say that. It's good we're fired up for that.
You said that?
Word for word. Read it clean off your outline. All 4 divisional games. Hey, Pop, it's important.
Locked in.
It's important, so Pop said it again. That's all me for interrupting you, Pop. You were flowing there.
No, it's all right. If you said it already.
Have a little fun.
Vibe check. Now I'm throwing off my game. I mean, it's credible kind of coming off the game on Sunday, just thinking about Jaden Daniels. I mean, and not just Jaden, what this team's been able to accomplish. If you look at what they're able to do on, fourth down conversions and sustaining drives and some of the statistics around all of that, and just Jaden just doing historical things, in some cases, not only for a rookie, but for quarterbacks in general. What's the one stat about no punts, no turnovers? He's done it 4 times, and you can stack up some of the greatest quarterbacks in history, and he's already done it more than their full career
in
combined.
1 year.
So, just he's amazing, and I think that he's got, again, MC was talking to me about it. Like, he's got this vibe about him, this cool, this chill. He's having fun out there. He's smiling. He's joking around with defensive linemen that just try to take his head off.
Yeah.
Just calm, cool, and collected. And, I agree with you. I think you go into this Lions game, and we will get into our keys to victory. But I like a few things. I like our offense, how our offense matches up against their defense. I'm sure they like how their offense matches up against our defense. But I think our defense has been ascending, holding the Bucs to 20 points. It was a really good performance by that defensive team. And the Bucs are also, one of the top scoring offenses in the league, just like the Lions, where they beat the Lions early in the season. I like that it's indoors. Yeah, the crowd will be fired up. It'll be loud, but there's no weather, there's no element, there's no bad cold or rain or snow that we're going to be dealing with. It's a fast track for a fast quarterback.
Yep.
So you got to like that, and you got to like, our ability, our receivers. I mean, the Lions, you'll get into it, I'm sure, in the scouting report, but they're kind of banged up on defense a bit, banged up in their secondary. So I like the matchup of our receivers. We got an ascending De'Ami Brown, and of course, Terry doing his thing. So I feel good about it. I feel like, I got a question for you. If you were going to put this in percentages, of course we think we have a chance to win. What percentage would you put on it out of 100?
Yeah, 25.
See,
35.
I'd go higher. I think I'd go 35, 40%.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I mean, I think I'm cautiously optimistic about this game, and I'll tell you why. I mean, it's very simple. It's Jaden Daniels. That's the bottom line. You've got proven success at quarterback in clutch moments. That seems to be all that he does. And I'll say it. I said it after the Bucs game. I've been saying it all week. If you're a Lions fan, you better hope you blow us out. You better hope you don't leave it a one-score game when the fourth quarter comes, because we're winning. We're winning in that scenario. I like this team against any team in the NFL, including that team that you're thinking of in your brain right now. I like them against any team, all 31 other teams in the NFL in the fourth quarter. There's been no reason to believe otherwise from what they've shown you these last 6 weeks and all year. That's the culture that's built here. That's what they do. They're winners. I have no reason to believe otherwise. And, the Lions are great, right? The Lions are incredibly talented. They've got one of the best offensive minds of football right now. We'll talk about that storyline in a second here. They've got just a loaded, star-studded cast on offense that can just give any defensive coordinator fits. Their defense is a little bit banged up, but still they've done a lot with that. I mean, they put Minnesota through hell to clinch that 1 seed, and Minnesota was just a red-hot offense coming into that game.
Yeah, they don't give up a lot of points.
No, they have a great defensive coordinator in Aaron Glenn. I think they've got a head coach on both. They've got pretty much 3 head coaches as it stands right now, because next year Johnson and Glenn will both be head coaches somewhere else. So they've got a great program there. But the most important position in football is a quarterback. I say this every year when we're doing these dart throw games. I don't think this is a dart throw game, but when we're doing these dart throw games in the playoffs and trying to pick out who's going to win, I always say team with the better quarterback usually wins that game. That's just how it goes. And there's no doubt in my mind who the better quarterback is. And no disrespect to Jared Goff. He's a great player, great veteran quarterback. We would have given our left legs for Jared Goff 18 months ago, right? But he ain't Jaden Daniels, and we got Jaden Daniels now, and this is an opportunity.
He's very good, yeah, but
very good veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I get your point.
Pop's got a real problem with that great word. We got to be really careful when I say great in front of Pop.
Great is great. Great is this podcast. Like great is
I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Jaden Daniels is great. I'd agree with you on that.
Sure.
But Jared Goff, I mean, you're right. He's done a great job in this offense. They've obviously got a great scheme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a guy that's going to turn the ball over a ton. Not a guy that's going to, I mean, hell, he's had a couple games this year where he barely throws an incompletion.
He did have that 5 interception game that they ended up winning.
Did have that 5 interception game and they ended up winning. So that gives you everything you need to know. But at the end of the day, I mean, what did the Lions win? 14 games? 15 games?
They were 15-2. They were
15-2.
Yeah.
Don't look now. They only won 3 more games than we did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we forget. We're a 12-5 team, and
we are among that class now.
The other factor in this game, we'll see if it's a factor or not, is they've been off, right? So sometimes that team that gets that bye, it hurts them a little bit. It hurts them a little bit in terms of momentum. They did have what effect was a playoff game in their last regular season game, and they crushed the Vikings in that one. So, but they've been, we've been active. We've been playing in must-win type games week after week after week. We're coming into this thing pretty healthy. There's some scrapes and nicks and different things going on the injury report, but like nothing of great note related to injuries. So that's pretty amazing at this stage of the season. So yeah, that's another little factor is that, sometimes that team with that bye week comes out a little bit sluggish from that. So I hope that's the case with the Lions.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I mean, we've seen it happen. We keep talking about people keep talking about the Nationals 2019 World Series run, and I can't get it out of my head. You had like Juan Soto, and that is Jaden Daniels. You have these guys are just these young, transcendent superstars, and several key. I mean, I see like Howie Kendricks is like Bobby Wagner. Like several key veteran players that just make the play. Who fell on that football last week? It's been keeping me up at night. We gave Bobby Wagner a helmet sticker. We didn't even mention that he fell on that fumble, the most key play of almost the entire game. It's a weird parallel there, and who knows? I mean, you hope it goes there. You could make some really big statements about what this team can do if they can knock off Detroit, but any given week, man, it's any given Sunday, it's any given week. There's a reason you play these games, and this should be fun. This should be a lot of fun. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as this is an opportunity for us to go up against the NFL's brass, and you know what? As long as they don't completely, run us over, it'll be pretty cool to see how we stack up, and I'm excited to have an opportunity to take a crack at them. This is what I want. I want a shot at the best team in the NFL. I want to see how this team stacks up, and regardless, been a super fun season. So it's incredible that you're here talking about let's knock off Detroit. It's incredible that you're at this point.
And I think also, they've got to be looking at film, looking across that line of 5 and going, this is a problem, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I'm pretty sure their scheme's going to be, let's take him out. Let's spy. Let's get a spy on him. Let's make sure he doesn't beat us with his legs. But when you do that, it's advantage our receivers, right, to get open. And I think we can leverage that. We can get Ertz going. We can get, of course, Terry going. Diami's flashed. Zacchaeus has shown some flashes. I like the opportunity, for Eckler. I think the fact that he's gotten a couple of games under his belt, so I think there's some weapons there that are more than serviceable. One of them's elite in Terry that can do some damage. And if they just try to key on 5 and take him out, only worry about him, he can distribute. He doesn't have to shoot the 3 if you use the Steph Curry, example, right? He can distribute too. And, I think that's going to be the key to be in position to counter what they try to do to stop him.
Yeah. So some of their key, we get into this Lions scouting report here. If you're ready, Pop, I think it's about as good of a time as any to hit it, right?
Well, I wanted to do one thing real quick, was just kind of go through the Lions schedule and season. And there was a pretty good article. So let me just rattle off a couple of these points.
Go for it. This is Pop segment.
Seconds.
I'm going to let you wrap.
60 seconds.
Take 90.
It's right there on the outline. I might have repeated something on the outline, but you skipped something, so it's all right. We're even now. They're both very efficient offenses, right? So Lions have picked up points on 51.2% of their drives. The Commanders have picked up points on 50% of their drives. So if you think about that, two pretty even offenses in terms of, yes, Lions are pretty big on scoring, but those two offenses are pretty big. They're both like to go for it on 4th down, but we've converted 87% of the time. They've only converted 67% of the time. So, advantage Commanders.
Yep.
So there's some interesting things there. And then if you look at their schedule, right, just real quick, right? I mean, early in the season, you don't count those. By the way, they are 7-2 at home. So are we. They were 8-0 on the road. So they lose more at home than on the road, obviously. So Kind of like that stat. Kind of like that stat. I don't know why. You would think that they got a great home crowd, but they beat the Rams early in the season, dropped one to the Bucks. They were all pretty close games. They won against the Cardinals, beat the Seahawks pretty good, crushed the Cowboys. We all remember that one. Had a tight one against the Vikings, crushed the Titans. So did we. Pretty tight against Packers, Texans, crushed Jaguars, beat the Colts pretty good, tight one against the Bears, tight one against the Packers. They had an absolute shootout against the Bills, gave up 42 points against them, 34-17 against Bears in Week 16. And Week 17, they gave up 34 points to the 49ers. Now, a normal 49ers team, you'd say, that's not that bad. Against this 49ers team, that's not great. And that was just in Week 17. And, of course, in Week 18, they crushed the Vikings. So you look at that, there's been some not so great teams that have been pretty competitive against this Lions team. And it's not like they're this absolute juggernaut that's just crushing everyone. So I just thought that was interesting to run through real quick.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a few gaudy games, but so have we. And they don't really let off the gas the way that we let off the gas at the end of games when we tend to be winning games. Ben Johnson tends to love to just get as many points going there as possible. But we obviously, like in the Arizona game, we let off the gas quite a bit. In the Cleveland game, we took Jaden out. Tennessee, even we just kind of ran that one out. It was not a lot of our points fests we kind of chilled out on. That Bears game, if you remember, Pop, on Thanksgiving, that was the Matt Eberflus complete clock management meltdown. They were about to win that game.
There you go. I forgot. I did forget that. But it was a tight game, just like our game against the Bears, right?
So, I mean, and to their credit, they've won a few tight games. Lions fans could certainly sit down and pick apart our schedule and say they barely won that one, they barely, right? So, but
they're 9.5 point favorites, though. That's the difference.
That's
the difference, right? That's the point I was trying to make.
I'm with you.
They're not just, yes, they've had some big wins. So have we against not so great teams, right?
Yeah.
But they've had some tight games against some not so great teams. And, 15-2 is awesome. But I don't think they've necessarily been this unbeatable juggernaut in that 15-2, right? At least, maybe it's me talking myself into it.
Yeah, I don't know. We're all trying to find our ways to get our boys fired up and keep them in it. At the end of the day, I mean, the team was the best team in the NFL through 17 weeks this year. So we got our work cut out for us. And part of that work is that boy, Ben Johnson. And this is a Ben Johnson revenge game as far as I'm concerned. Ben Johnson, some new reports coming out on the Ben Johnson situation I saw today on, I think it was Rio's podcast. I think he had Lake Lewis Jr. is his name, I believe. I'm going to verify all of that because it was a good clip. I sent it to you, Pop. But there has been some talk about the fact that Ben Johnson, the reason he did not want to come to D.C. is because, yes, this was on Rio Robinson's podcast with Lake Lewis Jr. was, I don't know if he's guessing or if they do it together, I'm not sure. But Lake Lewis Jr. is reporting that Ben Johnson did not want to come to D.C. because Jaden Daniels was going to be our draft pick. That was the report. He wanted to roll with Sam Howell, and Adam Peters said, turn this jet around. That's the report. And Lake is pretty reliable. So apparently Ben Johnson was not in love with that draft pick. And if you look at his offense and you look at Jared Goff's a lot closer to Sam Howell than he is Jaden Daniels, for what it's worth. There were some analytics dorks. There's a few analytics dorks I've been having a field day with on Twitter lately that had their heads up their culos about Jaden's ability coming out of college. Obviously, that's all been refuted now. I'm sure after a year of watching the guy play, Johnson feels differently. But that was reported. That's interesting. But we all know.
Good riddance.
We all know. True. Yeah, which
allegedly.
I'll take that source any day of the week. But we all know that the story of Johnson was first in line to get the job. Everybody said he was going to be the next head coach. The whole thing, they're on the plane to go interview Aaron Glenn and Lance Newmark and Ben Johnson. They were doing the three-piece situation there. And they basically said while they were all on the plane, they got a text from Johnson who bailed. He didn't think this was the right situation for him. And now reports are saying that he's guaranteed to take a head coaching job. And I have news for you, Ben Johnson. Every single available situation is significantly worse than the situation you had in Washington last year. So good riddance. And I hope that that's true. And I hope if it's not true about the Jane Daniels thing, that they all think it's true in the locker room this week and that they absolutely prove him wrong.
Jane thinks it's true.
Yeah. And like I said, man, this is not, I don't want to name names, but this is not some of those. This ain't some of those guys on Twitter that you see the report. This ain't like ML football, this is real source and a real reporter here.
Who knows what reasons? It seemed like he was coming up with 1,000,001 reasons not to leave Detroit, which is fine. I respect that. If he knew that, hey, I want to see this thing through, I want to make a run at a championship, with this group. Bless them, we got to, we're very happy with our situation, and it remains to be seen what kind of head coach Ben Johnson will become. There have been better offensive coordinators than Ben Johnson that have not been very good head coaches.
Yep.
So that's a TBD. I like our guy. I like Cliff running that offense. I'll take him. I'm not saying he's better than Ben Johnson. I mean, obviously you got to give Ben Johnson. He's got the number one scoring offense, in the league, and I don't think he's necessarily got a Hall of Fame quarterback in that team. So you have a very good player, but not great. So give him credit. But yeah, it's a little bit of I would imagine there are people in the Commanders leadership group that want this one pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it would feel pretty. It would feel pretty good.
You check boxes on, from a vibe perspective, right? And that's another one that's just kind of there, going. You didn't think it was good enough. Maybe you didn't like the quarterback. Maybe you thought we were wrong. The other one was got a bunch of basketball people making decisions, which is really dumb, by the way. When Adam Peters is in the building, I mean. Really dumb. But maybe there's a little bit of karma coming his way.
Yeah. A bunch of basketball people who, by the way, and Bob Myers and Josh Harris have done nothing but perennially contend for championships. So a bunch of winners.
You got an owner that's involved in sports. It's got experience with sports. Match that up to any other owner in the league. No owner, other than maybe Jerry Jones, is a football expert. He says sarcastically.
Yeah, exactly.
And you had Adam Peters, one of the most respected personnel guys, the number one personnel free agent, if you want to call it, to get a GM job.
5 years.
Such a stupid thing. And that's the thing that sticks with me a little bit. I mean, it seems like Ben Johnson's serious about getting a coaching job, but this idea of being picky and being selective, and I get it. We didn't have a great reputation. There's a hangover effect in the organization. I understand that. I wouldn't blame anyone from running from this situation, up to this point.
I would.
Not now, of course, that's completely turned around. But I don't have a great taste in my mouth when it comes to Ben Johnson.
Anybody to the point you said, I'm very quickly.
And leadership is a big part of being a head coach. And to me, some of those things are bad signs about his leadership.
I agree. And to the point you made about the organization thing, I have to say this because it drives me nuts. I'll be quick. Anybody with an ounce of common sense and critical thinking skills, which I understand is at an all-time low in the world right now, but anybody with an ounce of common sense and critical thinking skills can understand the only thing that is the same about this organization is the name. That's the only thing. The name and the colors. Everything else has been completely from the top down, from the owner to the equipment guy, wiped out. That's ridiculous.
He wasn't ready to leave Detroit. He should have just said that and left it at that.
But anyways,
and that part I respect. I mean, know your limits, right?
Sure.
But don't say they weren't good enough for me.
Sure.
That's BS.
I'm in full agreement with you there.
BS.
And
because who are you? You're nobody. You haven't been a head coach. You're nobody.
A lot.
You're a great coordinator. We don't know. You're nobody as a head coach. Nobody.
You know who was a great coordinator with a loaded team? Josh McDaniels. What did he do as a head coach? Twice. Nothing. You know who was a great coordinator? There's a lot of examples of that. Brandon Staley, brilliant young defensive mastermind. He's going to write the Chargers and take them to the next level with his analytics forward approach. Dude, everything he touches turns to a loss. He's the worst football coach that's ever coached. So, not wishing ill on Ben Johnson as his career goes forward. Certainly wishing ill on his play calling ability this weekend. I hope he blows it. Well, I will be wishing ill on him if he goes to Dallas. That's for sure. That's the big headline right now. Have fun with that one. That would just prove he has no critical.
All right, let's talk scouting report and keys to get this win.
So speaking of that, and I think this is some of Ben Johnson's bread and butter too, and why he hasn't left, is that this Detroit Lions team is absolutely loaded. You've got the best offensive line in football. You've got the best run attack in football. You've got David Montgomery, who is back to full practice. He's going to go this weekend.
I hate that.
I love it, and I'll tell you why. I think Jahmyr Gibbs would put up Looney Tunes numbers with 26 carries on this defense. David Montgomery is more of a
decent point.
He's more of a thumper and less of a home run hitter. If we can get David Montgomery, 15 for 85, and then Jahmyr Gibbs only gets 10 touches, I'm over the moon. You've got to pick your evils with those two. He is the less damaging one to this defense, and I love David Montgomery. David Montgomery is one of my favorite non-commanders in the NFL. He's been on my fantasy rosters for the last couple years.
It's also too difficult to defend that change of pace. What you worry about with Gibbs is big plays.
Yeah. Gibbs is just, I think Gibbs, pound for pound, he did not get the usage over 17 games that Saquon did, but I think Gibbs could easily be a 2,000-yard rusher in an offense like that. I think he's an absolute freak. He's just a scary, scary football player. He scares me more than anybody. Next on that list is Amon-Ra St. Brown, fantastic wide receiver. He's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to have, 10 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. He does it every week. That's just what he does. He's Mr. Consistent, super solid, super reliable. Doesn't necessarily have the beat you over the top speed, but who does is Jameson Williams. He's like a Ferrari. I mean, they've got a Bentley in the slot. The more or a Rolls Royce would be Amon-Ra St. Brown, the more kind of cool looking, reliable every day. And then you've got the Ferrari in Jameson Williams that just takes the top off the defense. They get the ball in his hands all the time. They run all these little hook and ladders. I got a prediction for you about that when we get into our keys to the game. But they got all kinds of situations that they do offensively with all that. I mean, Penei Sewell might catch a touchdown pass. You wouldn't be surprised. He might throw one. You wouldn't be surprised if that happened. They're just wild offensively. Defense, 20th ranked in yards allowed, 7th in points allowed. They tend to bend but don't break, which is not a good matchup for what this offense tends to do, is that we tend to score a lot of yards and we tend to put up a lot of yards. And if there's ever been an Achilles heel to this offense, it's we don't necessarily finish in the red zone. We saw some of those woes last week, and that combined with some kicking issues, which going into the game, Zane Gonzalez right now has a hip issue. Austin Seibert could come back. I think they're going to roll with Gonzalez, would be my guess if he's healthy. You don't know. Neither one of them have shown me enough for me to not be nauseous every single time we kick a football, so it doesn't really matter. But
it's shout out less Zane. Than 5, we're going for it anyway. So
yeah, and I love that, by the way. And the Lions are also famously aggressive in that situation. But their defense has got some dogs, man, and their defense is getting concerningly healthy. They're still missing Pat O'Connor. They are still missing Ennis Rakestraw. And they're also missing right guard Kevin Zeitler, so that helps.
And Hendrickson.
And Hendrickson, of course, but he's been out. Or not Hendrickson, Hutchinson. He's been out. I
took a shot.
Yeah, you were close.
I wasn't confident.
It's another
that shot, but I took a shot. It was enough to trigger your memory.
It's another white defensive end whose last name starts with H. You were pretty close.
Best I got.
full practice was David Montgomery, who's going to be back, and Terrion Arnold, which I don't love, and completely off the injury report, Khalif Raymond, Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, and Amik Robertson. So those guys are going to be full goes as well. And Alex Anzalone is a stud. He's a great football player. I think a lot of the defensive injuries have been because of them losing him. Jack Campbell's also a dog. They're loaded, man. They are loaded. They took that Stafford trade and they hit on just about every pick. It's really creepy if you look at it. Much
Good
thanks
front
to
office.
Lance Newmark, who's with us now, and will probably be a general manager next year somewhere else. But unless we find a way to give him a title change or something, but whatever. It's an uphill battle. There's no way around it.
Yeah, no, they're a great. They're a great football team, and I think they would definitely. They'd definitely be one of my favorites. We typically do a playoff bracket. We haven't even done that, which is awesome.
Completely forgot.
Focused on our boys, which is fine. I think it's actually good that we skipped it. When we're in the playoffs, we're dialed in, and we're picking the games every week anyway. But yeah, no, I think they definitely. If we weren't playing them, they'd be my favorite to represent the NFC.
Me too.
In the Super Bowl. Me too. Yeah, it's we could talk ourselves into it. I think it's going to be a fight, though. I do think it's going to be a fight, and they're a great team, but we're not bad.
They were my Super Bowl pick. I tweeted it out in the the playoff predictor last week. I did it. They're a great team, man. They're just
so. Let's talk about what it's going to take to get this win. What do we need to have happen? And I wrote some keys down. Feel free to kind of expand on that a little bit. I do want to get through this relatively quick, but how do we get through this and get a win? What do we need to do? What do we need to have break our way? I said it, I think there's, it's 60-40, 65-35 them. You were right in that same range.
Yeah.
But we got a chance if we play a certain type of game. What do we need to do to get this done?
I think key number one is going to be extending drives on offense and finish, putting up points, keeping the Lions offense off the field. Yeah. I think if you look at how we
You're not going to stop their offense, right? Realistically.
Yeah.
We're not stopping them.
The
best way to stop them is, do our thing on offense, right? Extend drives, put up points.
Yeah. If you can get like 1 or 2 punts or hold them to a field goal like twice, you might be able to dance. You might be able to do like what we did in Cincinnati. I think that's going to have to be the game plan. We're going to have to be crazy efficient. We're going to have to score every opportunity we get to score. We're going to have to stay in it because there's going to be big plays. They're going to take big shots. And we're going to have to be able to respond and be ready to respond. You cannot go 2 scores into the hole against this team, in my opinion. Although they did blow 24-0 or 24-8 or 24-7 something. They blew a 3-score lead in the NFC Championship last year to San Francisco. That's last year, though. Every team ever has blown a big lead at some point. So that's going to be the key number one, though. Extend drives on offense, finish, put up points, keep Lions offense off the field, win that time of possession battle, control the pace of the game. I think if you can kind of slow the pace of the game down and force the Lions to have to grind this one out, maybe you just end up being the team with the ball in their hands last.
And you got a stationary quarterback. So,
definitely.
He's been stationary all season and still been cooking, better defenses than ours. But, I like the fact that we got playing a guy that's only kind of one-dimensional.
Yep.
Right.
And then offensively, or in general, really, you got to minimize mistakes. You got to play a clean game. You got to take it easy on the penalties. You cannot put yourself behind the sticks. That Lions pass rush will take off after you. The secondary is really good as well, and they're opportunistic to turn the ball over pretty well. You have to be ready for that, and you got to play a clean game, got to stay ahead of it, can't have the operational penalties, can't have the getting tackled on the 8-yard line and then a false start on the first play and now you have 1st and goal from the 13. You can't have those kinds of situations. Have to be better than that. And the last key to the game, I think, is going to be containing the running backs on defense. You got to shut that Lions run game down. Almost everything that they do is predicated off of that play action. They need to be slowed down. I don't know how you do it.
I think it's shutting them down, is probably impossible, but at least containing them, and getting some stops in certain situations, right?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the key, and avoiding just those big plays, right?
Yeah.
At least more than one or two, right?
I mean, I would stack the box. I would put an extra bracket on Jameson Williams, and I would make Goff have to beat you throwing the ball down the field consistently over the top, which is something he is certainly capable of doing. And that's why this is the best team in the NFL, is they can beat you a million different ways. But we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to send some heat. I thought we did a decent job of getting pressure on Baker last week. We just didn't finish. Baker's a lot slipperier than Goff. But overall, man, I think those are the keys. At the end of the day, this one's going to come down to if we can keep it within a one-score game and we can get the ball last. That's how we win.
Agree. I think it's doable. It's exciting. There's a formula there to get it done. I think we're going to compete our butts off. Dan Quinn said as much in his presser. Said we're ready to play complimentary football and compete. I think this team is vibing. I think it's rolling. The momentum is going in the right direction. And I think, like I said, that's one kind of advantage we have, not having that bye. So let's pick some games.
Let's do it, Pop. Let's do it.
This.
Yeah, the absolute last thing I'll say about this, I would hate to be the Lions facing us this week. This is the worst team to play in the NFL that's got nothing to lose. We're hot. We're scrappy. Yeah, you're coming off that bye week. I would be, if I was the Lions, I would have been praying for Tampa Bay. That's all.
You got positive vibes all around. You got guys that have been on the team for years. That is their first taste of success. Yep. You got proven vets that have won Super Bowls that are there, that are coaching up the rest of the guys. You got a coach that's been to a Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, we can play completely. If we get blown out by 20, that's what was supposed to happen.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And, if you're the Lions, you've got to be puckering up a little bit thinking about that, because you blow us out, you did what you were supposed to do. You're going to get upset about Commanders fan talking confidently. What are we supposed to do? Say we're going to lose, we're going to get blown out? I think it's going to be a competitive ball game. I really do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a few in the bookmarks just in case. We're gonna unload the clip if things take a turn for the better. I was up until about midnight Pacific time unloading on people after the Bucs game, so we're gonna keep it going. If you guys like S Talk, don't forget to follow Dom and Pop at on X. I've been getting active, and it's only getting more active from here. Let's get into our Bada Bets, our 15 to 25, about 40 minutes into this thing. What can you say, guys? We're not used to being here. We're excited to be here. We got a lot to cover.
We get paid by the minute.
So yeah, exactly. So we got to get those watch hours up, man, so we can monetize. Let's do it. So I was 3-3 last week, which puts me in total at 44-1 for the year. Pop's 4-2, which puts him at 51-47 and 1.
Sneaking up on you, better watch it, boy.
So he's sneaking up. What are you gonna do? Regular season champ is still there, but two very good records. Here we go.
Without further trophies for regular season championships.
I think we have in the past, but it's cool. We'll keep it moving. Without further ado, let's get into it. Saturday, 8:00, Commanders at Lions. Lions 9.5 point favorites. I'm taking the Commanders here, not just because I think we're going to win this football game. I said it, but because I think 9.5 points is way too much. I think even if we lose, I don't think we lose by that much.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to stick with our boys. We've talked all about why. I think 9.5 is too much to give up to the Lions, especially the way we've been playing. And like you're like you said, we've been a second half team. We've been a comeback team. So I think I like our chances of at least keeping it close, keeping it competitive, keeping the sweat going through the whole game. It's going to be a good one.
Yep. Saturday, 4:30, Texans at Chiefs. Chiefs 8-point favorites in this one. I'm taking the Chiefs to win this game, but I kind of like the Texans points here. What do you like, Pop?
Chiefs all the way.
Yeah, for me, the Chiefs don't blow teams out, and I've done pretty good betting on that this year so far. And the Texans are
This is the
feisty,
playoffs,
got a good defense. I know, but the Chiefs just don't blow teams out. I'm riding with the Texans
I
points.
think they're rested. I think they're getting healthy. I think you got Pat, who was dinged up pretty good with 3 weeks of rest. They're going to come out firing on all cylinders.
I think they comfortably win by 6, but the line is 8.
All right.
So
agree to disagree.
Sunday, 3:00, Rams at Eagles. Eagles are 6-point favorites. I got the Rams in this one. Pop.
I knew you were going to do that. I'm going Eagles.
Pop's going Eagles.
I don't hate that Rams pick. You picked them last week. I mocked you. Accountability. Was it right hand up for accountability? Yeah, I mocked
just hand up. Any hand up.
You were spot on that one. So it's a good Rams team. They're kind of peaking at the right time. McVay knew what he was doing in terms of kind of resting his guys, getting ready for the playoffs. So I certainly wouldn't be shocked if they get the Eagles a game, but I think the Eagles are a heck of a good football team, and I'm going to go with the Eagles covering that 6 points.
If you go down, coach, run game, pass game, run defense, pass defense, special teams, I got Rams winning most of those categories, frankly. So I take the Rams there. I think they win that game. I think the Rams might go to the Super Bowl. I got Ravens -1 at the Bills. This one is
tough one,
impossible to pick. The Ravens blew the Bills out earlier in the year, 35-10 at home. The Bills kind of didn't have their footing yet at that point in the year. And the Ravens obviously were finding their footing as well in that game. And it was kind of like a statement game because the Ravens started 0-2 this year. So, or they lost a couple. They started 1-2, maybe. I don't know. They started weird this year.
Started really slow, yeah.
But I wish there was some more points here so I could make a points play, but I really don't know, Pop. Do you have a lean here? Bills at home is so tough.
I'm going to go with the Ravens, and here's why. I think their recipe for winning is, controlling the ball, and they've got that. And the Bills' defense isn't great, so they're going to run the ball with King Henry and Lamar, and control the clock. Try to keep that Bills' offense off the field. The Ravens' defense is playing better, but it's a coin flip, man. Honestly,
yeah.
But I think the Ravens team, coming off that performance last week, is in a really good place and really good position. But that Bills team's an excellent group as well. I'm just going to bet on Lamar. Get it done.
Yes, I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to take the Ravens there as well. I can't get a lean on it, and I just feel like, I don't know, man. The Bills controlled the ball really well against Denver too, and Denver has a better defense than the Ravens do. But I just can't I just get a feeling around the Ravens this year, and you guys know I'm not a Ravens fan, and I hate the fact that I got that feeling around them, but I just do. And I got to take the Ravens here. I think the winner of this game wins the AFC also. So
you got little motivators too. Lamar's heard the Josh Allen MVP chatter, and arguably put him a better year last year than this year than last year when he got the MVP. So I'm sure there's some motivational factors there. It's in Buffalo. That's a tough place to play. No doubt about it. Great crowd. Somebody said it, buddy of mine said a Bills, Lions Super Bowl might be pretty decent because you got two teams that have never won it before.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Have a long history. I don't want to see the Lions there, for obvious reasons. But anyway, we picked the Ravens. Let's wrap this thing.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. That's brutal. That's just
I
a
had
brutal
written
game to
down
pick.
Bills for you, so you shocked me a little bit. But
It's a brutal game to pick. It's a coin flip. But yeah, let's wrap this thing up. Without further ado, guys, I've been Dom.
This is Pop. Let's go, Commanders.
Thank you for another great week, everybody, and hail to the Commanders.
Hail.
Just love me, baby.